Vision without action, that's just a dream. But if we combine the vision with action, that's where we turn dream into reality. People telling me, I'm interested. And I often say, are you interested or are you committed? We are interested in so many different things, but are we really committed?
Welcome to my podcast, My Migrant Soul. This is Imran Abul Kashem, serial entrepreneur, former journalist, and personal branding expert. I have my migrant background. I have lots of story to tell. I know every migrant, they have a story of struggle, a story of resilience, a story of a success. Today, I have a special guest, and his name is Martin Probst. He is Chief Energy Officer of his company called Profound Leadership. Welcome to my podcast, Martin.
Good morning, Imran, and good morning to all the listeners.
How was your morning today?
The morning was fantastic. Had just a coffee with my beautiful wife. Had a bit of a meeting, what's happened throughout the day. She's working hard at home while we have some fun here.
In this podcast, I would like to introduce yourself, who you are, what you're doing, and some information for my podcast listener.
My name is Martin, as you said, Chief Education Officer at Profound Leadership. We started the business 15 years ago. We're living the dream, I can say. Doesn't mean that there are any challenges. I think they are there every single day. And perhaps we even talk a bit more about that. But what I'm going to do is, and that's pretty on a daily basis, I'm doing executive coaching, so one-on-one. I'm doing a lot of workshop, doing quite a bit of traveling. And I have also some keynotes at big conferences and converting and transforming the life of a lot of individual teams and organizations.
And you are also like a writer, author.
I'm also an author. I published quite a few books. The first one took me forever. The last one became an international bestseller on Amazon. Ironically, it's called I Did It.
Yeah.
And so I believe everybody else can do as well.
Where you get the inspiration?
Yeah, the inspiration is such an important part. I think the inspiration, and as we often say, start with the end in mind. I had a big dream when I was very young. I always had a big dream to travel the world, to work on cruise ships, and to own a known property with palm trees. And that's quite unusual coming from Switzerland. And it puts a smile on my face because I achieved those three visions. And the dream continues.
How you make this dream to action? Like everybody has a dream, lots of dream. Some can make it into action and make it happen. So what if I ask you about your childhood or your young age when you have a big dream and you turn it to action? What was that moment?
I think you used the keyword quite a few times, action. Nothing happens without action. And somebody much smarter than me once said, I can't remember who it was, but said, vision without action, that's just a dream.
Yeah.
Action without vision, it just passes time. I would call it it's a nightmare where we live every single day from time to time.
Yeah.
But if we combine the vision with action, that's where we turn dream into reality. So it's that combination of dreaming big, knowing exactly what the outcome is, what I'm looking for, what I want to achieve. The word that I often hear these days is people telling me, I'm interested. And I often say, are you interested or are you committed? We are interested in so many different things, but are we really committed? And I believe as bigger the dream it is, the more we committed we get.
We decide something and then we commit and we take action. So what was your action when you were starting the business? What you decide you were going to do this? And if you can share your personal story, how you overcome this into action.
Yeah, that's a long story. Let's go a few years back. As I said, you kind of achieve your outcome, your goals, and you start to dream bigger. And I think it happens for me as well. You know, one thing leads to the next. I was in hospitality for many years, and that's where I worked on cruise ships. That's how I ended up here in Australia. That was a long, fulfilled dream as well. I knew, especially when we talked about family, I knew that I want to have a career change. People were always close to my heart. I think I was always a bit of a special leader in a sense, where I really connected with people, the ability to motivate them. And I thought in the beginning, I thought I would find my higher purpose in formal education. Unfortunately, that's not where I found it. I felt a bit too boxed in. Having said that, of course, there's a big purpose in formal education, but especially when I did workplace training, when I was communicating with business owners, I started to realize that there's a big part missing in the training packages. And that's the interpersonal skills, the leadership part. And more, I started to talk about that area with people where they said, can we do more of this and a bit less of the paperwork, the assessments? I was a bit torn there, but I realized as well there is actually a niche. There's a business opportunity. And that really led me to start Profound Leadership 15 years ago.
So when you start this business, what challenges or obstacle? And sometimes obstacle make you work harder. Some people who are taking action, this obstacle is a golden nugget or a asset. Like without the
Yeah.
obstacle, you can't go bigger. What was the challenges when you started Profound Leadership, and how you overcome?
A lot of challenges I didn't realize. And today I say, with all respect and from the bottom of my heart, ignorance is a bit bliss. People asked me at the time when I started, they said, Martin, you know what you're doing? And I said, sure, I know. I had no idea. Looking back 15 years ago, I had no idea what I'm doing. Today, I have to be honest. Sometimes people say, what are you doing? I say, I have no idea. But what I'm saying here as well is the more we know, the more we start to realize how little we know. So there's always growth, there's always challenges. I think we need to start somewhere. We don't have to have all the answers. Yes, there will be obstacles, there will be challenges. We need to overcome them one step at a time. One of the things that I don't really like to go back too much, COVID. I still remember March 2020. I was having lunch with a beautiful friends when the Formula One supposed to start, and we were surrounded by all these people at South Wharf. And I said, what are all these people doing here? And my friends said, well, there's the Formula One. And I said, yeah, but they should be all Albert Park, not here in South Wharf. I overheard that it was cancelled, and at that moment I realized there's something bigger. The week after, we went from really being well booked to having no engagement whatsoever. So probably that was one of the biggest challenges to overcome. But with the leadership skills that we often teach, with the mindset and a good, healthy relationship to challenges, we overcome them as well and gone stronger than ever before.
Challenges is a great word for entrepreneurship. We love to solve the challenge, or we love to solve any problem. So that is one of the great thing for any entrepreneur. I would like to know that the challenges that has an impact as well. It has like even COVID that has lots of health and other issue. But on the other hand, some businesses like my businesses, I grow from one businesses to now 5 businesses. That has a good impact of the COVID. So what was the challenges and the current impact you feel right now from that challenges to where are you here right now? What is the impact?
Yeah, I think there's two aspects. The first one, I need to go back to the relationship to obstacles. I think a lot of people have a really negative relationship, whereas I have quite a healthy one, I believe, because obstacles are giving us the opportunity to fulfill our values. I said in my recent workshop to people, I said, how would we feel or where would we be without obstacles? What if we have this big dream and the only thing that divides us from achieving that big dream is just sitting back and waiting the dream to arrive, where we don't have to overcome challenges, where we don't have to have critical thinking and innovation? How would we feel if we would get there? I think we would feel very empty. So it is the overcoming of challenges that really helps us to determine who we really are, to find out who we can be, to be the best version of ourselves, and to fulfill our needs and values, grit, determination, achievement, outcome, success, fulfillment. It all lies in overcoming those challenges.
I'm more interested to know about your personal life and business, that challenges you have, and what it come out as an impact?
Yeah, I'll give you maybe a specific example before we started with the COVID thing. When my business went down to zero, what I promised myself is to maintain relationship with existing clients, and I understand why they had to cancel workshops and conferences, why they had to put it on hold. But I made a commitment to really check in, to continue the conversation. And the way I overcome a particular challenge is really listening in. The listening is one of those things that we often say, yeah, yeah, this is the good old thing. But are we really listening? Because when I listened in to my clients and they actually explained me the challenges they face, how do I stay in touch with the people that are working from home? How do I keep them motivated? How do I give them a sense of certainty and confidence? And while I was listening, I actually received the answers from my beautiful clients on where I need to shift my services, my products. And I started to use those challenges they faced, and I came up with solutions, webinars, short workshops. And from having nothing within about 4 to 6 weeks, we built our business again of being really busy.
That's a great story to how you overcome. I think the listener will get golden nugget from that, and they can utilize their business as well. But one of the thing we mostly talk in the business world or even in personal life, motivation. So motivation and mindset is a two things to do anything in the success. And sometimes like the gurus say 80% motivation and 20% action or something like that. What is your motivation and mindset of doing business, or how you feel about that?
The mindset is such an important part. And I often refer to the mindset factory. What are we producing up here? Are we using fresh ingredients? Are we using critical, healthy thinking? Or are we creating fear, doubt, regrets, whatever it is? So it is very important with about 60,000 to 75,000 thoughts every single day and a lot of BS that we tell ourselves. And Imran already knows what BS stands for. Of course, it stands for belief system.
Yeah.
You might thought about something else, but is it not the same? We know so much that isn't so. So having that healthy mindset, how we communicate with ourselves, the quality of questions we ask ourselves and where we actually focus on, that is a big part to either help us to take that action required to achieve our goals, or if the mindset factory produces a lot of negativity and fear, probably is holding us back to achieve what we actually really want to achieve.
I think spoke about before. I also have privilege to attend your workshop, and I think we met each other in 2016 or 17 in Wyndham Learning Festival, and your workshop also motivate me. And I'd like to say thank you, Martin, for that. When I start businesses and doing multiple businesses, one of the things very critical is innovation and creativity. What do you think about that, and what innovation and creativity you practice in your business?
I think innovation comes from thinking, from mindset factory. You know, if you have that ability to, I call this often negativity and the things that are not in control, it should be like Teflon, you know, it just should slide off. And positive things, opportunities, innovation that present themselves, that should be like Velcro. It should stick. So it's something that comes from creative thinking. It comes from the ability to think outside the box. It comes from seeing things, the world, from different perspectives. To me, that is the simple definition of innovation. And as important as it is, sometimes I think we overcomplicate things. Innovation, I think, with just the example that I shared, listening in to the needs of our clients and coming up with a solution, to me, that is very innovative. Sometimes it's too simple to be appreciated,
Yeah.
but it really saved our backside and it made a difference.
What will be your advice for the dreamers who are dreaming and who want to dream bigger? What will be your advice?
There's a few things, and please don't take that as advice. I'm not really big in giving advice, but I tell you a thing that actually really worked for me. It might be different for you. If it doesn't work, throw it away. If it does resonate with you, use it. Quite often we have a bit of a motivation. You talked about that before, of moving away from what we have. Maybe we are not happy anymore in the corporate life. Maybe we experience too much pain. Maybe we know exactly what we don't want anymore. And we think starting our own business is the solution. But because we focus so much on running away from what we have and what we don't want anymore, we don't really ask the question, how do I serve my clients? What are the solutions? What are the problems I will solve for our clients? Because everything is a value proposition. So having this ability to tap into and finding out what is the contribution to the world, to my clients, the moving towards that dream, that pleasure, that outcome is so much more important. So that's something that I often say. Ask yourself, what are you good at? What are the things that people would pay for? What are the things that contribute to the world and the world needs? And what is it really that you change the world?
I think there is great advice for that. And I will also take this thing for my own personal business and other thing. Sometimes we do business a lot, and we have a personal life, and we have a spiritual life, and lots of other life. And sometimes, like, I feel like I am the best asset in my whole class, and sometimes I put lots of time to myself to grow it. And also, like, we have a great term called work life balance.
What's
How
that?
work life balance. So what is your work life balance?
I think we need to redefine work-life balance. The old saying is almost like you sleep 8 hours, you work 8 hours, and you have 8 hours of fun. I don't think that is quite often reality anymore in today's busy and ever-changing environments. What I'm saying is what works well, let's throw in the aspect of well-being. And if we can combine what we do for business and we love what we do, going back to my previous question, that balance that you describe is much more fulfilling. I don't think we should see everything as an individual segment. In some sense, it does blend. What's that beautiful saying? If you love what you do, you're never going to work a day in your life again.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important part. And let's be honest, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, I don't think you just work from 9 to 5, but also what gives you is that flexibility. So with our business, although we work really hard and we quite often work a bit extra hours too, it gives us also the flexibility to go to school events, to take the day off if our kids have something on, and that works really well for us.
But what about your personal? Did you do yoga or meditation or any sorts of massage to look after your own self?
We talked about mindset factory. That's the mental part of it. We talk about emotional intelligence. We're talking about the body with massage. We're talking also the spiritual world. And all of those four areas, they need to be taken care of. So yes, I do a bit of meditation, whatever that means. It is the mindset part. It is the time that I have to myself. I'm a bit of a Tai Chi person. I think Tai Chi is beautiful because Tai Chi is that art of really slowing down in a very busy world. And that's a skill. Everything needs to be rushed. I hear people when I call them often say, Martin, it's not a good time. I'm busy. Busy doing what? And quite often we do just too much of the things that we already do too much of. It's that vicious cycle. Having that, as you call, work-life balance, looking after yourself, stepping back, reflecting, planning for the future, and then taking the steps accordingly. What I often say, never ever negotiate on your outcome, but stay flexible on how to get there. That has to do a lot with being patient, being committed, and a lot of other strength that you need as a business person.
If you burn out, then you can't do something innovative, something better. So when you look after yourself, I think it is your most important asset. So when you look after your most important asset, you will get more. In our marketing terms, it's called ROI, return on investment. So you get more on return on investment when you look after yourself. So that's a great thing. Some of my friends call not work-life balance. This is they call work-life harmony. So,
And it should be harmony. And I think that is exactly that harmony where every aspect flows, it's fluid, where it works into each other. Yes, we need to be very clear on different identities. Yeah, I'm a business person. Yes, I'm a marketing person. Yes, I'm a husband and I'm a father and so much more. But you're spot on, and it's often that selfishness that we talk about in business and leadership. And it is the same in leadership, by the way. It's great to be selfish. It's not where it stops, it's where it starts, because only when you look after yourself, then you can really be of service to others. So never ever you can take yourself out of the equation. You need to be part of the equation. And therefore you need to look after yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and yes, also financially. Otherwise, it's not a business, it's a hobby,
Hobby.
and they are two different things, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also that is I am trying to do my build up my life into the fourth circle, and I also work with that. What is your current project going on? What is happening in the current world? What is the current project you currently working?
Well, the current project that I'm working on is doing what we're doing best. It's the leadership part. We certainly continue doing the one on one coaching, the workshops, the keynotes, resources. I'm in the progress of writing another book. One thing that I've realized, especially over the last 2 years, a lot of people, I would say, struggle with confidence. Let me rephrase that. I don't think people struggle with confidence, and there's a bit of an insight about the book that I'm just writing. I think we all are confident, but what are we confident in? I had this beautiful workshop and I had a bit of an epiphany working with a lady, and she said, Martin, I need more certainty in my life. And sometimes I'm a bit cheeky. And I said, are you certain about that? And she looked at me and said, Martin, you don't understand. The ego kicked in. And she said, Martin, you don't understand. I need more confidence. I said, are you confident about that? And she started to laugh. And I said, what are you just learning? And I actually learned a lot about it as well. You learn so much from your clients. And she said, oh my God, either way, I have certainty and confidence. But are we certain? And I'm going back to that mindset factory. Are we having confidence in our limitation? Or are we confident in our possibilities and empower ourselves? Either way, we are confident. So the book is all about how do you shift your confidence of your limitation and all the negativity that you produce in your mindset factory through beliefs, the BS again, how you shift that to empower yourself to take action. That's actually something that I'm working on. So please stay tuned. The book probably, can I say that already?
Yeah, you
I
can say.
think I'm trusting our listeners. The book I'm planning to call it is called very simple, Shine, where we go a bit into the internal world of ourselves and the impact we have on the external world. Shine with certainty and confidence. So stay tuned on that one.
I think that will be a great book to evolve, and also getting a certainty, clarity, and conviction. That type of mindset, I think that will definitely help. I will be your first reader. I think like that will be a great thing. And tell me about why do you want to see yourself next 5 years, 5 years or 10 years, or like what is your dreams for next 5 years?
That sounds maybe different, but the dream is to maintain what we have. And I often say to maintain something that you have, you need to grow it. So we want to become even better at what we do. We want to build on what we have. We want to reinvent ourselves. We want to use innovation. We want to learn and listen to our clients. We're not going anywhere. That's not the plan. We want to stay in the field of leadership. I think it is too important to let that get away with. There's quite a big need out there as well. And we absolutely love it. One thing that we add to our services, one thing that we were approached is by quite a few people who are doing one-on-one coaching, who actually want to go to one-to-many. So we're creating a program at the moment. It's a bit more train the trainer. It's where we help coaches to go to facilitation, where we have white labels, where it comes with presentation skills, where we provide people with a bit of a shortcut, our long way of 15 years, where we cut it short, where we share it with a mindset of abundance, where we share our resources, our PowerPoints, our cheat sheets, our procedures and everything to really get more people out there to change the world. So that's something that we're working on long term.
That's a great inspiration. But as a profound leadership and leader you work, my last question will be, how the current leadership in the world going? And what is your personal view on that?
Also, the question or a statement? That's a tricky question right there. We all have our own opinion. What I will say is we all probably need a bit more leadership. And yes, I know leadership comes in a lot of different shapes, forms. One of the rules that I often apply is in leadership, it must be ecological. Whatever we do, it needs to be good for ourselves. It needs to be good for our community, for the people around us, as well as for the greater good. And I think quite often, one or the other one suffers. And you mentioned that beautifully, there must be a better balance probably, where we take the unhealthy competition out of the equation, the power games, the fear-driven mindsets, and where we lead with a bit more purpose and a bit more win-win. And I think we leave it there.
Thank you so much, Martin, sharing all of your knowledge and your stories and how you started businesses, and also all the golden nuggets of mindset, innovation, creativity, or all the impact for the world, and how people lead from himself rather than leading other. You have to lead by yourself as an example. So all of these things, thank you so much. And I think the viewers will get some great advice, tips, and some golden nuggets from there. And thank you for sharing today.
Imran, thank you very much for having me. Always great to talk to you and to the listeners. Thank you very much for having me as well. And I hope I earned the privilege of your time. I'll see you around. Thank you.
Thank you for listening my Migrant Soul podcast of this episode. I believe every migrant has a story, and I'm grateful I can bring them in my podcast and you can listen to their story. If this story you think someone need to listen, feel free to share it and subscribe my channel. See you in our next episode. See you then.